گفتگو با جوانان هوادار مجاهدین درباره برنامه 10 ماده‌ای و ایران دموکراتیک آینده.
Welcome everybody to our panel discussion on a future democratic Iran. My name is Ehsaan Ayatollahi and I'm joined today by youth delegates from around the world, including United States, Canada, and Luxembourg. So I would like to start with an introductory round. So I would ask our panel members to introduce themselves. Let's start with Melody.
Hello, my name is Melody Mohammadi. I am a graduate student from the University of Arizona, and I am from Washington, D.C., and I am thrilled to be here.
Hello, I am Iman Sharif. I am a student from Los Angeles, California. I am also a supporter of the People's Mujahideen Organization of Iran and the National Council of Resistance of Iran. Thank you for having me today.
My name is Miki Mohammadi. I'm also from Washington, D.C., currently a student of law in Pennsylvania, and I'm so excited to be here today.
My name is Ryan Nasir, and I'm a computer science student from San Diego, and I'm glad to be here.
I'm Asa, I'm also a student, and I'm from Luxembourg.
I'm Patty Garmredi from Canada, and I'm thrilled to be here.
My name is Yalda Balochi, and I'm a student from Washington, D.C., and thank you for having me here today.
Thank you for coming here. We want to talk about what we call the 10-point plan for a future Iran. This 10-point plan was introduced by Mrs. Maryam Rejouy, President-elect of the National Council of Resistance of Iran, first in year 2006 in the European Council. And so far, this plan has gained recognition and support from international lawmakers and former heads of state and Nobel laureates. So I would like to go through these 10 points and discuss with our panelists why these are relevant for Iran, why these could make Iran a better country in future. Let's start with the first one, Ryan.
Right, the first point of the 10-point plan is the rejection of the absolute clerical rule and the affirmation of the people's sovereignty in a republic founded on universal suffrage. Every Iranian, regardless of gender or ethnicity, must have the right to vote in a free and fair election in Iran. For more than 4 decades, the people have been denied the right to vote. In today's Iran, no citizen truly votes. The candidates are picked by the Guardian Council, and millions are silenced before the ballots are even printed. It is not a republic. In Mrs. Maryam Rejoui's plan for a free Iran, the sovereignty belongs to the people, not just any divine authority. The vision of the 10-point plan returns the power back to the hands of the Iranian people, and the power of choice should be held within every Iranian, Muslim or non-Muslim, man or woman, Kurd, Persian, Arab, Baluchi, regardless of their ethnicity. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, they're very, very good points. So regardless of gender, faith, ethnicity, we will dig deeper into these issues separately because other points of the 10-point plan also deal with these topics. You wanted to go on, please.
Right. I just wanted to read a quote from Maryam Rejouy, which further proves the necessity of universal suffrage in a free Iran. Directly quoting from Maryam Rejouy, "The ballot box is the only criterion for legitimacy. Our people's sovereignty must replace the rule of the mullahs." And in 2022 and 2023, the uprisings revealed this with clarity. Across Iran, students and across all sectors chanted, "Death to the oppressor," whether it be the Shah or the supreme leader. And our message to the world from this plan is the era of hereditary power and divine dictatorship is ending. The path forward is a free, democratic Republic of Iran.
Thank you very much. If there are any comments to the first point, please feel free to just enter the discussion. Also, the guests in the audience, please, if you have a question and you have a remark, please feel free to open your mic. So I will go on with the second point, which is freedom of speech. freedom of political parties and freedom of assembly, freedom of the press and internet. The second point also includes dissolution and disbanding of the Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps, the so-called IRGC, and the Terrorist Quds Force, the plainclothes groups, and the unpopular Basij, all are organizations which are responsible for suppressing people, including Ministry of Intelligence, Council of the Cultural Revolution, and the patrols and the institutions in cities, villages, and schools, universities, and offices and factories that are responsible for spreading the regime's ideology and suppressing freedom of the people. Now, the next point is about individual freedoms and social freedoms. Mickey, would you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, I would love to highlight this. Well, the importance of individual freedoms in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights is a fundamental reason why I support Maryam Rajavi. And just to be clear, a human being in America, in Canada, and Luxembourg is no different than a human being in Iran. And so these protections do not extend to them for some reason. So I support Maryam Rajavi's 10-point plan for freedom for a non-nuclear democratic Iranian regime is because the first set of these points, which, as you just mentioned, allow the freedom of speech, assembly, attire, all of which garner expression in the way that we express ourselves as human beings. And I think that regardless of which soil you stand on, these protections should be granted to everyone, which is why she calls them universal declarations. I also want to highlight a quote she said, and she says, quote, "We seek a republic founded on human rights and equality, where no one is tortured, silenced their beliefs." So these are the hopes that we have as a group, as a suffrage working towards a goal, and we support Maryam Rajavi's plans in doing this because they all highlight universal, individual, independent human rights that all human beings everywhere, regardless of where they are, should enjoy.
Thank you very much. That is a very good point, and especially the abolition of the death penalty. I think it's very crucial because right now, under the current regime, Iran has the highest executions rates per capita. And this is actually also a means of the regime to spread fear among the population so the people, so the youth cannot rise up. Let's move on to the next point, which is the separation of religion and state. Asal, what is your opinion on that?
So about the separation of religion and state, since the beginning of the mullahs regime, as Ryan mentioned earlier, they have used the clerical rule, so the Velayat Fari, in which they do their atrocities in the name of God, in the name of Islam. And one very interesting part about this point is that Ms. Maryam Rajavi herself, being a Muslim, she always emphasizes that a true democracy cannot exist without the separation of religion and state. So it's not about one religion being the right one, it's about all the religions coexisting at the same time and being separate from the state. And Ms. Maryam Rajavi always has a very inspiring quote where she says that always no to the compulsory government, no to the compulsory religion, and no to the compulsory hijab. So in the future Iran, a free Iran only means that where the government and the religion is separated and where people can choose for themselves what kind of government and what kind of religion they want to practice.
A very, very good point. Now, let's move on to the next point. Paria, would you want to elaborate on that?
Under the fifth point, I would like to add the gender equality. Maryam Rajavi envisions full equality for women in political, social, and economic life. So what I wanted to add was that Maryam Rajavi's 10-point plan presents a vision of Iran built on freedom, equality, and justice. It highlights women's equality is not just a right, but it's the foundation of democracy itself. The core message is that freedom of Iran, of women, is inseparable from the freedom of society, because no society can be free if half its population is in chains. Under the 5th point, gender equality, Maryam Rajavi envisions full equality for women in political, economic, and social life, and the abolition of all discriminatory laws, including forced hijabs and restrictions on marriage, divorce, and inheritance. And as to quote Maryam Rajavi, a society that oppresses women cannot be free. Equality is not an aspiration, it is the foundation of liberty and justice.
Great quote, thank you very much. Now, the point number six is also related to what you just mentioned and also the previous point, separation of religion and state. So Asal, what is the next point, the point 6 about?
So it's about the independent judiciary. For decades, the Iranian people have been deprived of any kind of justice. Well, they exploited justice to keep themselves in power, and they have used it as a method or an instrument of oppression. And for example, during the 1988 massacre of 30,000 political prisoners, most sentences were handed out in 1-minute trial. So the gross unfair trials, they're just an example of the justice that wasn't served 40 years ago, and the same ongoing procedures happening right now. So this year alone, there have been over 1,300 executions, and this is not justice. This is not justice for the Iranian people, and in a future Iran where the judiciary is not connected to the ruling government, justice is an essential part of democracy. Yeah. Yeah,
thank you very much. Any comments?
I actually would like to add something to that. Like you mentioned, the freedom of press, freedom of assembly, all of these points and freedoms that we are asking for are not independent. They cannot exist without the other. So in order to have freedom of assembly and press, we need to have a judiciary that can uphold those freedoms. So all of these 10-point positions are important, but all together create one major goal and mission that we are fighting for, and it encompasses all human rights. So I think that it's important to recognize that we are asking for all of these individually, but also will not accept one left out, because all together they are one. So I think that's a really important.
I want to quote also from the point 6 of the 10-point plan. It's written here: the abolishment of the mullahs, Sharia law, and dissolution of Islamic or so-called Islamic revolutionary courts. Now, you mentioned separation of religion and state, and somehow these laws, which are carried out in Iran, they claim to stem from Islam. The mullahs claim that these are Islamic laws. What do you say to that? Is it correct or not?
Not at all.
Not at all, yeah.
It goes against Islamic law.
Yeah.
Yeah? Please, feel free to add.
I would say that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it was part of Islamic law or not. A government with a theocratic religion, you are essentially relegating the existence of a people, of a populace, of a culture, of a mismatch of different cultures and different languages under one theocratic rule. And you are assuming that the people that live there operate under a monolith, which is the complete antithesis of the way that civilization is moving today. Iran is full of people who are extremely educated. They don't think like this, and it's not to operate under a theocratic rule it essentially hampers the society from evolving.
Sorry, I'd like to expand a little bit on the point I made earlier, within saying that this regime, while it might use the name of Islam, it's important to establish that this is not an Islamic government. What this regime does goes against the laws and the revelation of Islam. In the Quran, it said there should be no compulsion in religion, yet this regime has compulsion in everything. This regime is not an embodiment of Islam, it is a disgrace to it. And to call this regime a representative of Islam is not correct to say.
I agree. Yeah. If I just may, one little sentence to add to that is that a lot of these regimes sometimes will use the word of God to kind of bolster their own narrative and to push their agenda. So that's extremely important. As long as everything aligns with love, then they're on the right path. But since they're diverging onto a path of hate, oppression, and compulsory actions, they are going against every fundamental message of God.
A very, very good point, because actually religion must have some spiritual component in it. If it is just law, it has nothing to do with spirituality, with morality. So I agree with you. I like your wording, love in a broad sense. Yeah. Meaning love to yourself, love to God, love to
your neighbor,
your neighbors,
your country,
your country, of course. And this is a misuse of religion, and it's not the first time religion has been abused to control over people. Not just in Iran. We had this also centuries ago in Europe and other countries. So you wanted this something? Your name? Roxy. Okay. Good. Okay. Very interesting insights about the relationship between religion and state. You had something to add, Roxy?
Yeah, please. I think everyone has some really great points, and I totally agree. I want to highlight the fact that it absolutely is a misuse of religion, but not only that, but it gives such a bad look. It paints such a bad look for religion, especially Islam, because we understand that that's not a representation of Islam and what religion is about. But from an outside perspective, other people around the world, when they see this and they think this is what Islam must be, it paints a bad picture, and it makes people who do follow religion, people who are Islamic, it makes them look awful. It's embarrassing, and that's not what religion is about. And so we need to make sure we have that separation so people don't make that connection and think that this is what Islam must be, or this is what religion must be, or this is what Iranians must be like, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody. Please.
I really like that point of representation. I think, that the Iranian government likes to put forth this number, this 99% Islam or 99% Muslim population. Iran is an extraordinarily diverse country, different races, different ethnicities, languages, dialects, and not just not just a diversity of thought. It is a diversity of existences and experiences.
Yes. Thank you very much.
On the topic of representation, quickly, I'd like to point out that the National Council of Resistance of Iran is a representative coalition that has the representation of ethnic minorities and religious minorities. I think it's an important point to relate.
A very good point.
I think that the government has took away a lot of the beauty of the country, because especially about more people that are not educated on Iran. If I say, oh yeah, I'm Iranian, they'll think of a country that's run by terrorists, or they'll think of a extremist Islamic state that is just known for bombing things and causing terrorism and chaos, but they don't know the true beauty of the country or the diversity or religion. They'll automatically assume, oh, everyone's Muslim, they're extremists, they're terrorists, they're violent, but that's not the case at all. And I think that a lot of people that are not just educated on it, they don't see the the true beauty of the country. Even though I haven't been, that's just not the case.
Yeah, I agree. I can relate to that as well, just because I'm a Christian, and anytime I tell someone that, they're like, "Aren't you from Iran?" And I tell them that's incorrect. So all of these points are so brilliant and important.
Yeah. So you all said Iran is a diverse country, a multi-ethnic country,
yes,
multi-religious country. So let's talk about the ethnicities and nationalities in Iran. Yalda, is there a special point in the 10-point plan dedicated to this topic?
Yes, correct. Point 7 of Maryam Rajavi's 10-point plan grants autonomy for nationalities and ethnicities within Iran. And we've seen for decades, both the Shah's monarchy and the mullah theocracy pursued policies that suppress this diversity. And in fact, Iran's diversity is its greatest strength. Like we've seen, like historically, the diversity that was in Iran centuries ago made us a center of innovation, progress, and intellectual wisdom. And the regime seeks to repress that today. And under the Shah, Persian identity was imposed as a sole national standard, and non-Persian languages were excluded from education and media, which suppressed many ethnic minorities and neglected them. And many of the Shah's modern policies, he is propagated as this modern figure, but these modern policies never reach these people in rural areas. And due to that, repression deepened. And under this regime, the minority regions are militarized, created to be zones of conflict and chaos. And they neglect them economically. They don't provide any sort of provisions, any sort of like subsidiaries for them. And they have no recognition for the cultural identity, which is intrinsically beautiful because that's who they are. Baluchis, Azeris, Arabs, Kurds, Turks. There's so many in Iran. And these people cannot even acquire proper birth certificates or documentation. Amnesty International and the Human Rights Watch report that thousands of Baluchi children within Iran remain undocumented, which denies them healthcare and education, simple human rights, which is a critical issue within Iran today. And a free Iran under Maryam Rajavi's 10-point plan will break this tyrannical legacy of oppression, and her plan will establish a system grounded in the natural and inalienable rights of all people within Iran. And that is the right to equality before the law, to freedom of belief and culture, and to self-governance within a unified state. This is their Iran as much as it is ours. And Iran's diversity is what makes us such a beautiful nation, both then and now. And we must acknowledge that and account for it. And I would like to quote Maryam Rajavi, our compatriots who are from different nationalities, cultures, and languages must be able to equally participate in national decision-making. They must be able to preserve their cultural and lingual identity. They must be able to speak, work, and study in their mother tongues and promote them. A democratic republic is built on the principle that all citizens, regardless of their ethnicity, language, or region, enjoy full and equal rights. And this is the essence of our nation, and this is what we should strive for in the future.
Great, very great. And back in the 80s, the National Council of Resistance of Iran adopted a plan for autonomy of an Iranian Kurdistan, which also includes the right to govern and the right to learn in their own language and the recognition of their own language.
And to that, many people say that this will create divisions in Iran, but in fact, it will further unity, because when people who are from different cultures are respected and represented in a free Iran, that's where we could truly come together and collaborate to form a beautiful and progressive nation.
Well said.
Great, great. So let's move on to the economic situation in Iran and how the economic situation can be improved. Iman,
yes.
What is the point number 8 about?
Point 8 of the 10-point plan is about a free market economy and equal opportunity. In Iran, equal opportunity in a free market is not just an economic goal, but it is a national necessity. Today, I'll repeat, over 70% of Iran's economy is controlled either directly or indirectly by the IRGC and their affiliates, and this leaves small businesses and ordinary citizens with very little room to grow. This monopoly has drained Iran's wealth. It's driven unemployment above 20% among the youth, and it's pushed millions below the poverty line, despite the nation's vast natural and human resources. In a democratic Iran, we will dismantle these monopolies and open the market to competition, transparency, and innovation. Every Iranian will have the right to build, invest, and prosper based on merit, not based on connections or privilege. Our vision is an economy where hard work replaces corruption, and where 100% of oil and national revenues are transparently managed, and where opportunity is not a favor, but a right. As Ms. Maryam Rajavi said, we seek an economy based on freedom, equality of opportunity, and respect for human dignity, not on corruption and privilege. This is the foundation of a free Iran, an Iran where the economy serves the people and not the powerful.
Thank you very much, Iman. So their regime has ruined the economy.
Definitely.
And to move on to the next point, it has also ruined the environment of Iran. So would you want to elaborate on that, Melody?
Yes, so when we speak about Iran's future, we often talk about freedom, democracy, and justice, but one of the essential pillars that Maryam Rajavi emphasizes in her 10-point plan is the environment. The environmental protection is not just a political issue, but it's our moral duty and a matter of national survival. Decades of corruption, greed, and mismanagement by the current regime has poisoned our air, dried our rivers, and turned our once fertile lands into dust. From Lake Irma to Karun River, our natural treasures, symbols of life and identity, have been brought to the brink of extinction. In a democratic Iran, a responsible and transparent government will invest in a clean energy, reforestation, and water restoration. We will harness Iran's abundant sunlight and wind not only to power our homes, but to protect our planet. We will restore our forests, revive our lakes, and rebuild our relationship with nature. Environmental reform will not only heal our land, it will be a foundation for economic recovery, public health, and national pride. It will also strengthen Iran's role in global environmental cooperation, contributing to international efforts to combat climate change and protect biodiversity. Ms. Maryam Rajavi also powerfully reminds us that, she quotes, "Respect for our nature is respect for life itself. In a free Iran, environmental protection will be a sacred responsibility of the state. Let us commit to that vision and an Iran where freedom, justice, and natural thrive together."
Thank you very much. The last point number 10, is about peaceful coexistence with neighboring countries in the region, and also having a non-nuclear Iran. Can you elaborate on that, Ryan?
Sure. A free Iran will live in peace with the world without nuclear weapons or regional aggression. Since the beginning of its inception, the Iranian regime has interfered in all the regional countries and warmongered by supporting a multitude of terrorist groups and funding trillions to its nuclear program, stealing the money of the Iranian people to attempt to save its own regime. It has also used this nuclear program to blackmail the international community and extract concessions from it, while spreading war and terror across the region. It has used the threat of the nuclear bomb to shield itself from any accountability from the international community. The NCRI was actually the first to reveal this secret nuclear weapons program in 2002, and essentially saving the world from a nuclear-armed terrorist regime. A free Iran will have peace with its regional neighbors, and it will be based on equality, respect, and shared security between all. The National Council Resistance of Iran's plan is clear. The Iran of tomorrow will be a non-nuclear Iran, an Iran that advocates peace, coexistence, and regional stability. By ending the export of terrorism, Iran will regain its rightful place as a constructive global partner. And lastly, to quote Maryam Rajavi, our free Iran will be a non-nuclear country, living in peace with and friendship with its neighbors and the world. And lastly, the day Iran is free will be the day peace returns to the Middle East. Thank you.
That's a very, very good point. Now, talking about nuclear program, some people see the regime's nuclear program as a kind of national pride. Some people claim, why shouldn't we have nuclear weapons if other countries do? What did you reply to that? Any idea? Is it a good thing? Is it a good logic?
I mean, the only reason for a nuclear weapon is for destruction. So going back to that notion of hate, that's all it is. That's the goal of it. And using the Sharia law to give some sort of name to nationality, or what is the term you just used?
National pride.
National pride. To say that this nuclear weapon is something of national pride is innately going against the anything that embodies peace. It's a weapon of destruction used only for destruction. If they can give me a reason how it can bolster peace and help others, I would love to hear it.
And to Mickey's point, there's so much you could do with nuclear energy. You could use it as a form of energy instead of fossil fuels, which will help Iran's environment. And we see that as a way that will benefit society, but this regime chooses and actively propagates nuclear weapons and the accumulation of nuclear weapons as a token of fear, and they profit off that fear within the Middle East, and it makes it harder for other countries in our same region to even pursue anything and to even develop and further progress as they hold this card over them, and they just use it to incite fear within and out of Iran.
Good point. So you and then you.
I agree with everyone regarding the actual weapons, but another thing I would like to add is the fact that, because you brought up national pride, and so national pride, it can be important, it cannot, but when you're looking at this specific situation, at what cost, right? And do you care about the well-being of the citizens? And if money is being stolen from the citizens, keeping them in poverty, keeping them in all sorts of chaos, while we're acquiring nuclear weapons, is that really for the people, or does that really relate to national pride at all, or is that okay? So, why isn't the well-being if it's for the well-being of the citizens, why isn't the well-being of the citizens being put in the first place? Why is it not a priority? Why are we spending trillions of dollars, as you mentioned earlier, just to acquire a weapon that puts everybody else in danger? It doesn't make sense.
The last point I would like to make is, I exactly agree with what you said. The last point is, if this was for the people, why would they have built it in secret all these years and spent $2 trillion on it until the NCRI finally revealed it in 2002? So essentially the nuclear program is to the detriment of the Iranian people, in conclusion.
A very, very good point, and you also mentioned the NCRI revelations, which is actually something the NCRI is quite proud of, because it shows what a danger the regime poses to the international community, and that it deprives the people of their own rights, and that this is a project that has cost trillions and trillions of dollars. And we also had and mentioned the issue of economy, the poverty, 70% you mentioned under poverty line. And it also shows that the NCRI does have a good network inside Iran to expose these kind of activities, apart of the resistance units and the supporters inside Iran, in the prisons anyway. And a part of that, we have people inside the system, people who work but who don't support the system, who prefer to have a replacement to this regime. And we discussed about what a replacement could look like. Thank you very much, everybody. If anyone has some closing statements, please feel free to add.
the Iranian regime uses the excuse of the people with most of their things. They say, oh, this is for the people, but they have completely ruined the value of the dollar in Iran, and that single-handedly ruined the lives of many lower-income, middle-class people in Iran. They can't even go and afford a bus ticket or afford to go out and eat a meal. So even though they say it's for the people, they're completely ruining their lives. They're killing their own people and they're killing their own country.
Okay, I would like everybody who hasn't spoken yet to just say one sentence, your own a statement. What you think about the discussion. So
I agree. I totally agree, and I think that by prioritizing nuclear bombs, we are taking away from our own people, because the money that we spend on nuclear bombs to ruin other countries and our own country as well, we could invest in our people. Why are so many Iranians living below the poverty line when we do have the resources for them to have a better life and better opportunities? Why do I in the West have the opportunities to get higher education, get jobs, be equal, have right to vote, when an Iranian woman just like me with the same parents, same Iranian parents, same root, don't have that opportunity, when we do have the resources to give them that opportunity? Yeah.
anyone else? Okay, so I think we can close if you agree. Thank you everybody for coming, and I learned a lot from you guys, and I hope we can keep up and continue these discussions either online or we have other platforms where we can also use. Some of you are already active on our X spaces and lives, and so you know me, you know how to contact me, and okay. Hope we can also have other opportunities to meet and have other conferences. Thank you very much.
Thank you.